Hi everyone, Paul Graham. Want to say hello, keep safe, hope you're all staying at home, social distancing, tough times, but we will get through it. It will pass. Good time to catch up on work and take stock of what you are and what you have. I wanted to give you a bookshelf tour. These are the books I gathered since I've been in America. I still have a storage unit in England with the older stuff, which might have been interesting, but can't get there right now. Just want to show you some of the things I have, a few highlights and odds and ends and mementos. There you go. There's a view. It stretches that far. There's more down the bottom there. Note the ones underneath. Also note the failed attempt to color code sometimes, all the reddy pink ones and the yellow ones. There's a sort of blue to black over there, whites. There was a gray greeny section there, gray section there, and a greeny cream section there. Gave up on that at a certain point. But bookshelf, and of course it's our family living room. There's a sofa, and my partner says we have too much orange in the building, toys everywhere. So what have we got here? Vintage hi-fi Sansui amplifier, 70s power amp, for those who are into that kind of thing. That's the Paul Graham section there. I allowed myself one shelf with the odd random thing here and there, but we're not going to talk about that. Starting, I can't go through everything, of course, but starting with a few puppets, some vintage art forums back from the days when it was great. Running through Whiter books here, Katie Grannon, Carrie Napoleon Muller's Angels in the Fall, old book, lovely book. Little influence on American Night in some ways. She dealt with the mist and air light in LA at that point. Thomas Demand's National Gallery book, double copies of Chris Killip's workbook, this Museum Folkwang Steidl catalogue. Judith Joy Ross, I'll come back to her later on over there. Nice. Why do I have two copies? Because sometimes I buy one and get sent one. I don't know. Just happens sometimes. Running through it, Collier Shaw. There'll be more of her books further along as we go. Roe Etheridge. Two copies of Alex Soth's songbook. The great Mack publication. Well, I think one of his bestsellers, if anything. And I think Michael sent me two. I think that's the first edition, or that's the first one. And then the paper change, he wanted to see me the different stocks, so that's the second one. Archipelago, lovely book. Mitch Epstein, the great, I'm going to have to skip a lot here. Torben Rodeland, terrific photographer. Mikhail Schmidt, discuss him more later. The terrific Julian Germains, for every minute you are angry, you lose 60 seconds of happiness. Good thing to remember in these days. That's a Steidl Mack book. That's the first edition, which sold out very quickly, and I think it's reprinted as a Mack book now. Garth McConnell, good British photographer. A Steidl PhotoWorks book that was gathered together. What am I missing here? Fire in Cairo, Matt Connor's terrific book that Matthew did on the Arab Spring in Egypt. Running across, should we go to some nice warm sunset reds? Scarlo, first Scarlo book up on the shelf here. Here is New York. I think most of my Scarlo books are in London, but this is a wonderful collection of images from 9/11, amateur and professional. Funny how you can always tell the professional ones because they try and compose it, and the amateurs are just sort of, what the hell is happening here, and just take a picture, and they're usually the better ones, actually. Another double, Robert Frank. So many to go through, books on books, a Lee Friedlander, a Robert Adams that are scattered around here. Sorry, my eye is just lighting on things. A few of my paintings books, because they're pink and they fit in there. One of the books with the hipster unbound binding. Is that the right way of saying? Another Torben Rodland one. Vanilla Partner. I have another one of those that is opened. As you can see, that one's still in its wrapping. Dropping down to a bookshelf which did used to have a little clock radio here, but it went for repair and they couldn't do it, so we've got a cardboard box holding place right now. Very exciting. John Gossage, triptych of books he kindly sent me that recently published by Stidle with strange titles on them. Pictures are great. Should Nature Change, Jack Wilson's Waltz, and the Nicknames of Citizens. One of his best, trilogies of books. I really like that. The Great Gerhard Richter. Don't need to say anything. Rinke Dijkstra. Don't need to say anything. Robert Bergman. Most of you, if you don't know him, you should do. Wonderful portraits. Two Robert Bergmans there. Kind of Rapture with a foreword by Toni Morrison, unbelievably, and his PS1 catalogue. Andreas Steinbach, isn't that lovely having masters besides, younger artists who made these terrific studio portraits of his friends where they sort of flip clothes and positions and everything. Skipping across my initials, PG, African Mask, Puppies. Little orangey pink section here. Got a few good spare copies of two of my books. Tend to hand them over to friends when they want one. Nico Schmidt's Frauen. David Hammond's rare catalogue by the Munchen Gallery, 5 decades of work. Can't unwrap it, it's worth too much money now. Jika Hanslover's Forest. And then going up to yellows. The designery ones of you will have noticed that this is all the Dieter Rams Vitsui shelving. I actually bought it all on eBay, so I couldn't afford it otherwise. William Eggleston's For Now, his portrait book edited by Michael Almereyda. Lee Friedlander book, nice Marion Muller, Swiss photographer. Nice compendium book of her stuff there. These are some, these yellow ones were when I was playing with the idea of how to print Does Yellow Run Forever? And I was making these dummy books with bright yellow covers, seeing if I could work it. Didn't work out. Did the one we did. Judith Joy Ross, the wonderful American portrait photographer, portraits of the Hazleton Public Schools, where she went to her old school district and photographed that. Mallory Marder, Robert Adams, Denver, great early book. Beninard, my partner wife is from Benin in West Africa. Malik Sibide, another John Gossage. Tom Wood, wonderful, wonderful photographer. Foti Man, compendium book by Stidle. I have another one along here. I'll show you more of his bus work. Sensational what he's done in Liverpool. Moving along, Mikko Schmidt's Unity, legendary book. I think it's one of Michael Mack's top 10. Vanessa Winship's Mapfre catalogue. Pier 24, wonderful foundation in San Francisco, one of their books. Then things like Collier Shaw again, Guido Guidi, Taron Simon's famous Index to the Americans Familiar, another John Gossage, New Topographics Catalogue. Here's Tom Wood again. You must know this work. If you don't, you should, where he worked from the buses on Liverpool for, 30 years, so on. Stidle's monumental publication of the Democratic Forest, much better edit of it than the original one. 10-volume Stidle book, which I was lucky enough to own in a point when I was feeling flush, foolish boy. Laurel and Hardy DVDs, got to have those. Purple Ink, got to get some of that for your fountain pen. PL, Philip Lorca de Corsia, the great guy, his Hustlers book. best book, great work, get it. Dropping down to the rather mundane white-coloured ones, the people who couldn't make their mind up. Jens F. Collier Shaw. Broken Manual, Alex Oth. Book of Tarkovsky's photographs, the great film director, of course. Lucky enough to own all three Mark Steinmetz's Southern trilogy, Greater Atlanta, South Central, Southeast, terrific photographer. Archive Peter Pillar, book on Basquiat there, I don't know if you can see that, Jean-Michel Basquiat. Robert Adams, they're scattered throughout, two of them. Two Robert Adams actually there. No Small Journeys and Skogan. Copy of The American Night because it's white in the white section. Todd Papageorge's great Passing Through Eden, his Central Park work. Great photographer. Terrific writer too. That's my favorite book of his. Another Richter book. Book on Japanese photography, a Frankel catalogue of Nick Nixon's about 40 years. Another Frankel catalogue there actually. Daniel Shea, portrait of my mother there. Found this picture of the Palestine broadcasting service in Jerusalem. My mother was a child radio. She did took part in child radio plays, and unbeknownst to us, someone took pictures of it, this documentation, and that's her. At, I don't know what she is, 12 years old, something like that, with pigtails. Long time ago. Cindy Sherman catalogue. John Deakins, great photographs of London in the 60s, 70s, Francis Bacon and all that crew. Gary Winogrand's terrific public relations. If you haven't got this, get it. If some of you would have been lost what the fuss about Winogrand was, when you get this book and read Todd Papageorge's text, you'll get it. Then you'll get it. Nick Nixon's Brown Sisters, again. Sophie Cowell, Book of Shadows, book Cartier-Bresson from MoMA. You kind of have to, Another Roe Etheridge. Again, Michael gave me two. Thank you, Michael. No problem with that. Lydia Goldblatt, British photographer. Nice work on her father, her family. Wolfgang Tillman. I don't have many of his books, because I feel a lot of them are repetitive. But that's my son running on the roof upstairs. Some of them are great. This one's very nice. This Freedom from the Known, and Concord is another of my favorites. Jem Southam, Landscape Stories. Great photographer. Wonderful. Must have another. Torben Rodland. Seem to have quite a few of his. Confabulations, that one. What else have I got scattered around? The Last Interview. David Goldblatt. Haven't read it yet. Published by Steidl. My desk. My computer is under there. I build my own computers. I don't trust Apple or Dell or anyone. Build them myself. Yeah, we all know what that is, don't we? Nope, we don't want to talk about that. And we know what those are for, don't we? Nope, we don't want to talk about those. There we go. What else do I have? Oh, here is a show I'm working on curating. Someone asked me to curate a show, and there are 7 or 8 great photographers in there, from Vanessa Winship to Pier Giorgio Cassotti, Emmanuel Bruti to Greg Halpern and many, many others. Curran Hatleberg. A lovely book by Tanith Berkeley called The Walking Woman, which is a spectacular book. Sadly couldn't be included in the show, but it's good. Some invites for my exhibition at Pace, which is currently on and currently closed, and will disappear. Does Yellow run forever? And books on the ground here, some bigger oversized ones, a few family albums, Eggleston's Election Eve, there by Steidl, Luigi Giri, Stephen Shaw's Elements, Robert Frank's The Americans looking in with this lovely, it's the bigger edition with the contact sheets at the back. Jerry Johansson, American Winter, great photographer, to Ron Jude, Toy Bus, Toy Tow Truck, all very essential things that every bookshelf should have. Homeward, Whelan Connection, Shimmer of Possibility. I do have one copy of that. Yeah. So, lots of books. There's more. The literature is all the way up there. It's been confined to the Northern Territories up the top there, because it's nice to look at picture books, isn't it? I think that's it. Sorry for the mess. We're confined to the house for a while. We have a 4-year-old who's now a 5-year-old. Poor kid had his birthday at home with just his mum and dad. No parties allowed. Anyway, I hear footsteps on the hall. I think they'll be coming back down from the rooftop air. And again, keep safe, social distance. We'll get through it.